I'll do a little introduction of our one of my favorite agents, Marie Burgess. Um, you ready, Marie?
I'm ready. I had a little technical difficulty, but it's fixed now.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Um, so I'll tell you, Marie and I have known each other, gosh, for now over 10 years, right?
Right.
And Marie,
As much as I avoid you, you keep coming back.
wait, what now?
And as much as I avoid seeing you, you're always there.
So I guess we'll find out a little later what she means. I think it's out of love, though.
I do
Uh,
love you.
my hope is at some point, Marie, this is going to feel like we're just sitting by the, campfire, kind of, just getting to know each other again and expressing our gratitude to one another. Marie and I are pretty much two of the oldies in the office now. Um, Marie, I believe, came roughly a month before I came. And we both came from other brokers, and we had been in the business and been successful for a while before. Marie and I have served on the ALC for many years. We've been to family reunion and mega camp and regional things and an insane amount of classes together.
Yep.
And one thing that I know about you, Marie, is that you have just a heart of gold. I mean, if there's somebody that needs help, you rush to help them. If there is somebody that needs some advice, you rush to give the advice. You've been a wonderful contributor from in all the committees that you've done, from all of the foster care foundation and red days, and if people knew the commitment that you had and the love that you had for this office and all the things that you've done behind the scenes, that it would blow their mind. So I want to express my gratitude publicly for that. I invited you here today because you've had a ton of success, right? You've seen this business from long before the the internet and social media and command. And every time there's something new that pops up into the real estate world, you've forced yourself to adjust and have then continued your successes. So I want to welcome you back to the group and give you just a platform to share. It's almost like when we were talking the other day about like preparing for this, it's like almost like I want you to think of it like you are like the these are your work. This is your opportunity to share your wisdom with others, right? What are some of the foundational pieces that agents need to know? What are some of the foundational pieces that they need to spend their time on and they need to commit to? If you could share a little bit about, why you have remained at Keller Williams and your commitment to helping grow Keller Williams. I'd like to hear a little bit about that. I know that you received some profit share as well. And then, of course, I want to give everyone an opportunity to ask you some questions. You've pretty much prospected just about every type of prospect that there is, and I'd just love for you to share some of that wisdom. So, I want to let me just take a look at who's here. Most everyone is, let's say, a year and less in the business right now. And then this video is being recorded, and so there's a good likelihood that we'll have some more people pop on, and there may be some higher producers that at some point see this video. So I'd love to hear your recommendations for what some of these agents can expect and what should be prepared for in the coming months and years as they continue to develop their business. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Marie Burgess. And I'll start off by asking you, Marie, tell us a little bit about when you got your real estate license. Maybe share with us what you did prior to getting into real estate. We'll start with that.
College.
So,
I've never had a real job, like a 9-to-5 corporate job. I got in the real estate business in 1985, and that is 1985 is before fax machines. So when we wanted to make an offer, the secretary in the office used a typewriter, which is a device some of you may have seen in antique stores,
Right.
and made 5 or 6 copies by using carbon paper, which you probably have never seen. And then we drove to the listing agent, and I would drive to the seller's house, and we sat around the dining room table and we talked about the offer. So I was 26, I think.
So that's where the term presenting the offer came from. Right. It wasn't, we didn't just like email it off like we do today. We actually set an appointment with the other agent and the seller and went to their table and said, I'm representing Mr. and Mrs. Linkwald, and here is their offer. Let me help you understand why this is, they've putting this offer together like this.
My dad used to worry about me. So when I wrote, if I had to write a poor offer, one that was usually the sales price wasn't what the seller was looking for, he bought me a hard hat, like a construction hard hat. It was bright yellow. And when I wore the hard hat, people knew that I had a bad offer. He was always afraid somebody's going to hit me in the head.
Yeah, and you've been in Atlanta forever. Didn't your dad pass up a pretty sweet real estate deal a long time ago?
My grandfather.
That was your grandfather?
My grandfather had an opportunity to buy 1,000 acres of land in Sandy Springs for $1 an acre, 50 cents an acre, $1, doesn't matter. And my grandmother asked him where it was, and he said Sandy Springs, and she told him it was too far out. Nobody'd ever moved that far. And that property they're talking about, that tract of land, is Chastain Park. So I missed being an heiress by a little bit.
Yeah, you would have been a hell of an heiress.
Yep. My grandmother was meaner than my grandfather, so she always won.
Okay, so how did you go from the what company were you with back then?
A company doesn't exist anymore. It was called Royer, R-O-Y-E-R Realty. Was have you guys, do they understand? Have you talked about dependent and interdependent companies?
We've sprinkled that in. Give us your summary of that. Share with us what you want.
Well, you have basically, I mean, this is good thing, this is not a pop quiz, but they're dependent companies, are companies, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, that you the agent depend on. They provide you with your stuff, your signs and your lock boxes, and sometimes leads, opportunity desk, all those kinds of things, in exchange for never capping on commission.
Right, and so often half the money.
Right, you're always, no matter how many houses you sell in a year, you are going to pay them a part of your fee. Then there are independent companies like Remax, where they provide nothing. You have to, anything you want, you have to buy, from secretarial services to a piece of letterhead. But you don't have a cap. Everything you earn is yours, which you have to average out against what you're spending.
Right, and oftentimes with an independent company, we see those with like Solid Source and what do you call it, Chapman Hall and those kind of places.
Yeah, no training.
You're generally going to pay a small transaction fee, sometimes a large transaction fee each time.
True.
And generally there is no cap there either. However, because you're not paying much, there's the people that you're paying it to don't have any money to give you resources.
Right. So you're paying for exactly what you get, which is nothing.
Right.
And then the third kind of company is like Keller Williams. It's an interdependent company.
Yeah.
Where you do have an opportunity to work against a cap, or for the goal of reaching the cap. Then you're at 100% between then and when your rollover date.
Yep.
The following year.
So have you worked at all three of those types of companies?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about why did you go from, help the people understand why you went from independent to interdependent. So in other words, we've got 300 people in the office, right? The vast majority of them know how to do real estate. So the question is why don't they go to a cheaper place, right? Well, the reason they don't go to a cheaper place, in my opinion, is because they're getting enough value. They're getting more in value than it's costing them.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they go work somewhere else,
Right.
right? And it's our job to deliver that value day in and day out, right?
I
So
agree.
what you made a conscious decision at some point to leave what was probably costing you very little amount of money and join a brokerage like KW, where it was going to be a bit more expensive, but you were going to have more potential and more growth opportunity, right?
Right.
Tell
Well,
us more
because,
about that.
yeah, well, I mean, the only thing that's constant in the real estate business is change. The only thing that's constant in life really is change. And Keller Williams has the, without a doubt, I mean, we're honored for having the best training program. We're really a training company that sells real estate when we have a minute.
Right.
So the, and, you know, and the icing on the cake is that, that we do have a cap. So there at one point you're going to be capped and you're going to get to enjoy 100% commission for a period of time.
Yeah.
So
100%.
to me, it's the Keller Williams is the best of all possible worlds. If you're going to sell real estate, you might as well be with the best.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's transition a little bit to some kind of advice. So, you and I have known each other for a long time. I've got a hard shell and a warm inside, right?
Yes.
And day after day after day, I'm helping people understand the principles of business and how to grow their opportunity and how to think through kind of what this business is all about. How do you be successful? How have you been so successful over the years, Marie?
Um, Besides, well, that's a good question. I actually like to lead generate. And I don't know whether that's because there's something genetically wrong with me or whether it's just because I say I love to lead generate all the time. And I finally brainwashed myself. But the thing about, I hear people talking all the time about all the things they want as they get a little bit of success. How do I get out of doing what I don't want to do? Well, the one thing that everybody doesn't want to do is lead generate, and that's the most important part. You should if you don't want to do something, hire somebody to do everything else and just lead generate and negotiate. Because those are the two things that make you the most money.
Okay.
And
So
more money is always better than less money.
I have found that to be true in my life as well. Yes. What we have said over and over again is if you think growing a big business is stressful and having a lot of people that want your time and your attention and paperwork signed and this email, yada, yada, if you think that's stressful, think about the stress of having no clients.
No money. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
The wolf sitting at the front door.
Which one is better to have? Which one
Yeah,
would you rather have?
right. Would you rather
Stress
have
of a busy business or stress of no business?
right, worrying that are they going to cut off the cell phone before I finish this call? Things like that.
Oh yeah, I remember back in the day, what I was practicing. This is back when like there were no unlimited phone plans, right? And
Right.
I could barely even afford the 900 minute a month plan, right?
Yeah,
And I
right.
perfected the art of leaving a message in under a minute, so it wouldn't count for 2 minutes, right? Because
Right.
my normal speech was like a minute and 10 seconds, and I had to figure out how to get that below a minute, or I was going to run out of money.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us a little bit about what are some of the main things you've learned in real estate over the years?
That the main thing I've learned is that mindset's the most important thing, and everything else follows that. If my mindset's not right, then I might as well be speaking another language because nobody's going to hear what I'm saying.
Okay.
My friend Jan Alicardi posted something on Facebook this morning, and I wrote it down because I thought it was cool. She wrote, I am amazing. I can do anything. Positivity is a choice. I celebrate my individuality and I'm prepared to succeed.
Love
And
that.
I felt a lot better just having read that.
Do you guys feel a little bit better hearing that?
I love that. Like that just sent chills through
Yeah,
my body.
I
So
thought so
so thank
too.
you.
Read that one more time for us, please.
Okay, and again, this is, I want to make sure I didn't write this. I stole it. I mean, I ripped it off and duplicated it. I am amazing. I can do anything.
I can do anything.
Positivity is a choice.
Activity is
I
a choice.
celebrate my individuality. I
Individuality.
am prepared to succeed.
Prepare to succeed.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's great. So how do you, what is that, when you read that and when you say that over and over, Marie, what does that do to your, what do you do next? Like, how does that impact the rest of your day? How does that impact your attitude? How does that impact your desire to go help people?
Well, I mean, after reading it, it makes me feel like, God, I need to pick up the phone. Have you done the exercise where you figure out how much each phone call is worth?
We have done the exercise of how much each person in your database is worth.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me,
according to our math, each person that we add to our database is worth roughly $625 per year.
okay. And $625. Okay. So from when I did the exercise, I figured out, let me write this down, 625. Okay. I figured out how much each individual phone call was worth
Yes.
based on my database producing 90-something% of my business. And my figure was $332 for the phone call. If all I did was call and say, hey, I saw the baby had a birthday. Have you guys thought about buying another house to put him through college? And they said, no, Marie, we're not interested. We don't want to talk about it today. It doesn't matter. Over time, that was still $332.
Yeah, according to the math that I'm doing in my head, based on my number and your number, you have a hell of a conversion rate.
Well, it's easier to have a good conversion rate when you have a database of people who know who you are.
Yeah, and a commitment to making the calls daily and 40 years of experience.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? I was talking to somebody the other day about, there are people in my database that I don't know, but they've forgotten that.
Yeah.
And I've tried to analyze it, and I think what has happened is does everybody know that I was a team until my husband died last November?
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyway,
I mean, I think so. Yeah. We spoke about it this morning.
Okay. So there were people that Tim met that I didn't meet, but that's not all of them. There are a bunch of people in my database I've never met, and they've forgotten that I never met them because I've talked to them so often. And I know so much about them. I know their wives' names and their dogs' names, and that they like to fly airplanes, and when their birthdays are, when their anniversaries are, and their children's birthdays. And they've forgot that they don't know me. I have one airline pilot who bought 6 or 7 houses over a period of time when the market was poor. He paid $30,000-$40,000 for them. And in 2018, he decided he didn't want any of them. So we sold them all. And I still haven't met him.
Right.
He lives in California.
Right. So how do you keep track of everyone?
It's all in command.
Prior to command, how did you keep track of them?
Any edge.
Prior to that, what?
Probably follow-up boss, which was when I was part of a big team and somebody else was paying for it.
Right.
But
the takeaway is it's
just a database.
It's systematized.
It's systematized, right?
Okay. If you were going to guide a brand new agent, and your job, Marie, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. if your job was to walk a brand new agent through the most important habits and activities that they could do, what would you say? What's the first couple things that come to mind?
Oh, we'd start out about probably 7:30 or 8 o'clock, do affirmations like what we were just talking about a minute ago, practice the scripts, and get on the phone for a couple of hours, then take a break and return whatever phone calls or emails were that
So just
were
so I
they
know, you've never been hurt or anything from making a phone call, right?
no, nobody ever hurt me.
Okay, so like you've probably made, I don't know, maybe a couple 100,000 calls, if not more, right?
Probably. Yeah.
You've never been hurt from making a phone call?
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
No, we used to play this great game in Bold um, called Get the purpose of the game is to get them to hang up on you.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
you 7 pennies. You get 7 pennies and a coffee cup, an empty coffee cup, and you ask for the appointment. This is very effective with for sale by owners and expireds because they're already in a bad mood. So the idea is you ask them for the appointment until they hang up on you, and every time you ask, you throw a penny in the coffee cup. If you get to 7, then you win for the day. So it's an exercise. It seems silly, but it eventually you realize that in order to be successful, you've got to ask for the business. And that exercise teaches you that those words are no harder than any of the other words you say.
Do the emailing from FMLS. We do emailing, searching, emailing. We can do all of that if you like. I can give you a little bit of rundown.
Is this till 1 o'clock? This.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here till 1. Hang on. Go grab him. Go get him. Call him.
I can see your armpit.
Okay.
That was a nice shot of your armpit.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm trying to get one more person to hop on.
Oh.
Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Anyway, you learn that the exercise is to teach you that all we need to do now is set an appointment. Are you available today at 2 or 4? Whatever closing question, it's not, those words aren't any scarier than the words that came before it. When I'm not real crazy about showing property because I get lost a lot. But when I do show property, I ask at every house, do you want to buy this house? At the end of the showing.
And what happens if they say no?
Why not?
Why not?
The ceiling, I really want a 2-story family room. I guess that's why.
Okay, so we're gonna go look at a house with a 2-story family room. If you like that one, do you want to make an offer on that one?
Well, meanwhile, now you're no longer showing them homes with 1-story family rooms.
Correct.
So
Right.
every
So
time you show a home, they're either going to buy the home or you're going to find out why they don't want to buy
they
it,
wouldn't- right,
right?
when-
And you're going to
when
edit the
you-
criteria based on that.
exactly. And you always leave it. They can't have more than 2 to choose from, if that makes any sense. Like
Now,
if they
you skipped a few. I know what you're talking about. Let me kind of
explain it.
explain that a little bit more. So let's say, for example, you go out and you're looking at 7 homes. Okay. We remember what we've talked about for a long time. We have to try to make this easy for our people, right? This is a system of making it easy. Okay. So first home you go to, they say, it's not for me. Okay. We're never thinking about that one again. Okay?
Right.
The second home they go to, they're like, ooh, I like this one. You know, I'm still curious about the other ones we're going to look at today. Okay, so that's one of the contenders. Second home or third home they go to, they're like, oh, this one's nice too. Okay, you get another contender. Third home, or I'm sorry, fourth home, I guess they don't like. Okay, we're never thinking about that again. Fifth home, oh, I like this one. Okay, well you can only get 2 on the list. So which of these 2 are going to go so that it makes room for this third one?
Right.
We're only going to be considering 2 homes at once because at the end of this, we're going to buy one of them.
Precisely.
There's no room for any more.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that what you were referring to?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just another technique. It's just another technique, right?
And if you've
It's
done it
also, by the way, it's having fun with your people, right?
right,
That's fun. People want to hang out with people they have fun with.
exactly. And if you've done your job with a buyer consultation and you've gone through a needs analysis, you don't need to look at 7. I mean,
Hey, lady, just checking, touching base with you.
So I remember hearing John Prescott teach us in Bold one time that if you show more than and I thought he was insane when he said this. And the longer the longer it's been since I first heard this, the more I believe it. If you show more than 5 homes to somebody, and this is even, this fits in with our current market. If you show more than 5 homes to somebody, one of 2 things is happening. Either you don't know the market well enough, or you haven't asked them enough questions.
I agree completely. And one of the sentences that a question that you can use in a buyer consultation that sets this expectation that we don't need to look at every house on the planet Earth is, would it surprise you to know that the vast majority of my clients find the house within the first hour or 2 that we're out together, or within the first 2 houses we should see, or whatever you're
right. Or, would it surprise you to know that, every client, virtually every client that I'm working with is going to make their decision after seeing no more than 6 to 8 homes.
Yeah, except for 6 to 8 sounds like an all-day job. I don't have that much energy. I'd say 3 to 4.
Right. So you say, look, and the reason why I feel so confident in that is because I know this market like the back of my hand.
Right. And I know your needs because I've got them right here in my hand.
Right. And I've asked you a lot of questions. And so I can look at a property online and say, oh yeah, I know that floor plan. I've been in the house like that 50 times. And I know based on what you said, that's going to be a match. Or I know based on what you said, it's not going to be a match.
Not be match, right.
What other tricks have you learned over time, Marie?
Let me think.
If you guys have any questions, by the way, just pop them in the chat and we'll get them. Marie is if we don't catch it all today, then I think we kind of said you were going to start coming into the office a little bit more lately, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
and I haven't kept my word about that. It's really hard to come in the office because I miss my husband so badly because he was right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was always right beside me. But I am getting there more than once every 6 months.
Yeah.
What else? Mindset number 1, and then if you want to stay in the real estate business, mindset number 1, lead generation number 2, database maintenance has got to be right up at the top because you've got. I mean, Command has. It's almost scary how good the artificial intelligence is getting with Command. It can actually starting to be able. It's predictive now.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's happening to you guys, but I get reminders that this client or that client is looking at my database. And do I want to follow up? Well, yeah, I do.
Okay, before you go any further on that, walk us through. I know you were one of the kind of you were all about the app and all about telling people about the technology and stuff, right? So how have you leveraged the technology of Keller Williams to deepen the relationships you already have or to grow additional relationships?
Command it runs on the data. So the more data that I can collect from the people in my database, the more helpful Command has become. I mean, I basically took the last 6 months off to be with my husband before he passed away, and Command's been running all the time. It's been running searches. It's reminded me about birthdays and wedding anniversaries and house anniversaries and dog anniversaries and you name it. That it's all been running. Well, I didn't even turn on the computer.
Right.
So
now, as soon as you get back to the computer, you'll see that there is a bunch of people that want to do business with you.
Right. And the ones that came to fruition during the 6 months when I wasn't working, I was able to leverage out to other agents who took really good care of these people when I couldn't make, I couldn't keep my brain occupied for 2 minutes. I didn't have the attention span.
Mhm.
So the business, it didn't run itself to a level that it runs when I run it, but it didn't die either.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I basically took a hiatus and Command kept the business running.
Nice. Nice. So what else can you teach us? Give us some more nuggets. Advice for new agents. Give us some more things. How do you handle your day? How do you handle your goals? Why do you always sit in the front row? Give us some more.
The smart people sit in the front.
Guys,
That's why.
if Marie sits in the front row of every class there is, you could rest assured she was going to be in the front row.
Yeah. I used to, when I studied for a long time with Mike Ferry, some of you may be familiar with that organization. And at his retreats, the front row was, I mean, he'd speak to 5,000 people, and I sure didn't want to sit in the back. So I would go and stay in whatever hotel the retreat was being held in, including in Atlanta, if it was here.
Right.
And I would set my clock and get up at 1:30 in the morning, and take a pillow and a blanket and go lay down and sleep in front of the doors to the ballroom.
You never
So
told
I
me
could
that
be
story.
I could be front and center when they opened the doors at 6 a.m. I had to carry my key to my room and a letter from the manager because they thought I was homeless. And I was just camping out in the hotel.
And you were gonna do that. Why? Like, why was that commitment so deep?
Because you get the show's different in the front row. It's better, way better. So Tony Robbins taught me that.
I love that. You and Tony Robbins go back, don't you?
Yeah, I met Tony in 1988, and was fortunate to study with him on a level that a lot of people don't get to, because I've been to his house, spent the weekend at Tony's house.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah,
That's amazing.
it was pretty amazing. He's a big guy.
There's a guy who, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but he runs an organization called the Front Row Foundation, and he works
Oh my
for.
God, I got to find out about this.
His name is Broman, John Broman. Let me see if I can.
John.
VR. Hang on. Okay, his name is John Vroman. It's right here. He has a couple of podcasts and books and that kind of stuff. He's a motivational speaker, coach,
Can be my new best friend.
that kind of thing. He has a website called Front Row Factor, and he was his organization basically it helps people that one of their that are very sick, right? One of their dying wishes is basically to have an experience in the front, like one of their, like, let's say they wanted to go see a concert or a baseball game or something like that. His organization would create an experience for them to do it in the front row. Because just like Marie suggested, being in the front row is a different experience, right? Have you ever been to a concert and sat in the front row? Totally different.
No, but I've been to lots of concerts and didn't sit in my seat at all and stood in the front.
Marie, walk us, like, what's next? Where do you see your business going in the next couple of years?
My best year was the year before last. I had 35 transactions. That's a good solid number for a single agent. And that was, of course, with a husband partner. So my plan is to get back to that. And I don't remember who told me this first, but I know I've heard it in bold. everybody is 5 years away. You're 5 years away from being your best self.
Yeah.
So
Have anything
in
you want in 5 years.
5 years.
But Gary
So-
Keller says most people drastically overestimate what they can do in 1 year and drastically underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
So I'm looking at 5 years from now, I'll be 68, almost 69. So, and, so I'd like to retire at that point and retire with sufficient profit share to, so that I don't have to worry about money. Because nothing will suck the life out of you faster than worrying about money.
Ain't that the truth?
So
Well,
that's my goal.
talk us so about profit share for a second. You
Profit
have
share is the most wonderful thing in the world.
what's up with that? What do you how do you do it? What kind of money are you making? Walk us through that. Because they always hear from me, and like I think sometimes they need to hear a different sometimes because my voice gets a little stale with respect to profit share. But what is your take on the whole thing?
When you, well, my take, my what did we just get? December profit share.
Yep.
My December profit share was, keep in mind, I haven't worked since August. I took August, September, October, November, and December off. My profit share was 2,200 and change.
2,200.
2286 or something. It was nice. It's enough to pay for a house and a car.
Yeah.
Without having to think about it. So, and I don't have a downline like what you have, Bill. I think I have 6 people.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And I lost 2. I think I had 7 or 8 or 9, and I lost 2 of them in the last 8 weeks. I figured, or I guess the last 3 months. Everything is a little date-wise is a little weird. But anyway, I wasn't expecting much, but I was very pleased with $2,286. And
Yeah.
it's all the people that are in my downline are people who all I've done is be Marie around them and talk about when it comes up, talk about what Keller Williams is all about. I haven't come off as being like wanting to recruit somebody.
Right. And you have a hell of a story, right? Your best years in real estate were with Keller Williams. Keller Williams has supported you in a number of ways through your your health challenges, and of course Tim.
Yes.
I mean, gosh, all you have to do is tell 1/10 of your story, and they're gonna be like, "Well, my broker never did anything like that."
Right. No, I am officially unrecruitable.
Right.
So.
What is your any questions? I can go a lot of different directions. Who's got questions for Marie?
Well, I've never done the numbers on profit share, and in my head, because I live there, I'm thinking that to do at least 22 in my head, it's just like, okay, well, what do I need? Like to add 20 people, to profit share. So you just made this a little bit more realistic to me, because I absolutely love Keller Williams. I have never felt more inclusive anywhere that I have worked, and I've worked a lot of places than I feel now. So you just saying that, it means the world. And I love to listen to other agents who have been in this business well before I even, thought about joining or anything, because it's just your stories paved the way. So I appreciate you being here, because you give me that much more, Ebony, you got this. Like, keep going, keep going, keep going through it all. Like, you can make it. So I applaud you and just thank you for being here for us, because us new agents, or, even seasoned, we need people like you. So I appreciate it so much for you taking out your time to be here and just giving us your true self. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
that. I just give you a real quick math lesson on profit share so you can really understand some of the forecasting. I've analyzed this stuff to tiers. Okay. I have crunched every number that could possibly be crunched. And I feel pretty certain in saying that if you attract an agent who names you as sponsor and that person works in Roswell, you will see somewhere at, I'd say 2,200 a year minimum. It's probably going to be closer to like 25, 2,600 per year. So you're not averaging that, Marie, I don't think. But if you were, then you would pretty much have to have about 12 cappers in your downline. That work in Roswell. Roswell is one of the top offices in the country in terms of profitability. So not all, I mean, I have agents that work out of other cities and states that the profitability is nowhere close to what it is here, right? And so the amount of money that we would get from them capping it doesn't approach $2,200. But for every agent that you bring here that caps, you could expect as their direct sponsor somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's say, between $2,200 and $2,500 per year. That makes
Which
sense?
ain't bad. That's not bad.
That's
And by the way,
great.
that's only direct sponsors. So
Right.
if you bring somebody and then they bring somebody or they bring somebody,
Right.
that's all gravy. Makes sense?
Yeah.
And what are some of the ways that you've attracted? You've invited people to events, you've introduced them to the team leader,
Yeah.
you
Bringing
shared your story.
bringing people to events is fantastic. Er- Everybody that is in leadership at Keller Williams have been trained like ninjas. So all you got to do is get a living, breathing person in the building or on the phone, and let leadership ninjas do the rest. I mean, Bill is he's the head ninja.
I appreciate you saying that.
As far as the future, I'm thinking, somebody was teasing me the other day, and I signed up for Match.com. I'm not ready to date anybody yet, but I got 293 guys that sent me messages, and I'm trying to figure out how to. I guess I could ask them all if they wanted to either buy, sell, or invest in real estate, or if they thought about a career in real estate. Since they're dying to talk to me, and I don't want to go out with them. Thought at least we'd give something to talk about.
Yeah, just say, hey, before we meet, I've got a couple of questions to ask you. You're pre-qualifying, right? Before we meet, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you. Where do you live, right?
Right.
Do you own or do you rent?
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Have you considered investing in real estate?
Who do you trust for your real estate?
When it comes to real estate, who do you trust, right? Oh, great job. I think that's brilliant.
I mean, I don't want to. I hate to. They're their contacts, right? I hate to lose the opportunity to talk to somebody I don't know. I mean, I could build a database out of guys that want to go out with me.
That's exactly true, right? And the thing, what I say a lot of times in here is that if you truly believe, and I would expect this to be the case with you. Maybe you can validate this, Marie. When you make those phone calls, you know that if they work with you, they're going to have a phenomenal experience.
Right.
And you also know that if they choose not to work with you, just about anything can happen. And most likely it's not going to be the experience that that person deserves, right? They could get misled. They could work with a vendor who's not going to take care of them or something like that. They could leave money on the table. So you feel compelled to continue to make those calls because you genuinely want to help people. And if they don't get a chance to be helped by you, it's not in their best interest, meaning it is in their best interest to want to do business, to decide to do business with you. And I believe that is one of the things that continues to push you forward, right?
Right. I wonder what 293 times 322 is.
I can tell you. 293 times 322.
Yeah.
That would be 94,346.
See, that's all I got to do is get in touch with those guys.
6 figures. Yeah.
Almost 6 figures. And the ones that aren't so attractive will be thrilled that somebody actually called them.
Yeah. Give them a KPI.
I'll start with the less attractive ones.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. What other questions do we have, guys?
Maria, I'm curious, at this point in your career, does most of your business come from, are they mostly referrals from your database, or are you still doing a lot of cold calling and other ways of recruiting, the haven't mets or not mets yet?
All of my business over the last 3 years has come directly from the database, either the individual in the database moving or a referral. Like I have new buyer clients. They've already signed a buyer brokerage agreement with me, but they haven't gotten here yet because they're in quarantine because somebody in her office tested positive for COVID. And their referral from somebody who was a friend of mine who used to be a neighbor, and till I sold her house, and then she moved. But I'll tell you, I haven't had time, and I love for sale by owners. They're like shooting fish in a barrel because 90% of them are going to list.
Can you run through a call? Like,
I
how would
was
you
just about to do that.
I'd
like to hear that?
What's your approach, Marie?
I'll just share my favorite approach, and that is because most of the time you get voicemail. So it's harder with a cell phone than it is with the phone in the office because hanging up is not as dramatic with a cell phone, but you can teach yourself to do it pretty easily. And that is, I would call and say, "Hi, I'm Marie." I'm getting a voicemail, right? "Hi, it's Marie from Keller Williams. I was wondering, I saw your ad, or I was curious about your house. Does it have a," and click and hang up. And make sure you get your number in there too. See, I'm a little rusty. "This is Marie with Keller Williams, 404-643-1160. My clients called me and asked me to see if your house has a," and then you hang up. They'll call you back.
And then what happens?
Well, then you go into I got to find out what their motivation is. And if they actually have a motivation. Some people don't, and you can't create motivation in anybody. But if they have motivation, then the next step is for me to see the house. And then most of the rest of the trick for sale by owners is just staying in touch. And because maybe when a for sale by owner goes live, they might get 25 calls the first day and maybe 20 the second day. By the following week, 2/3 of the agents that were calling them have quit. And if you could stay after them 6 weeks, the odds are you're between 1 and 2. And you've got a really good chance of getting a listing at that point.
Right. Gene Rivers says that the person who gets the business, the person who the FSBO lists with, is the agent that was the most helpful and the agent that was the most persistent.
Do what Gene Rivers does.
Yes, that's a good shortcut for success in real estate, right?
Yes, just do what Gene Rivers does.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit about what do we miss, Marie? What do we not talk about?
Leadership opportunities.
Yeah. What's going on with Keller Williams? Keller Williams is a place of opportunity, right?
It certainly is. I mean,
tell us about that.
I don't feel qualified to talk about this, Bill, because I haven't been in the office enough. But I mean, clearly, Keller Williams is a company that promotes from within.
Yep.
You wouldn't be where you are if you hadn't come. You've come up through the ranks. Aubrey came through the ranks. Laura Donna, who's the team leader at Windward, was my bold accountability partner in 2015, and she was too scared to pick up the phone. And she's a team leader now.
Yes.
So talk about 5 years. She did it in 4. But I would love to hear what other opportunities are available myself.
Yeah, one of the things that they talk about, I heard this from Chris Heller a long time ago. He's a former CEO of KW. And he said opportunities come to those with capital and influence. And then he went on to say that capital is like 1% and influence is 99%. right? Everyone's got cash for the right opportunity. The question is why should you get the opportunity, right? So that's influence. And then somebody says, well, how do I get influence? And influence, I was told and believe, comes from really two things. One is your involvement with the Agent Leadership Council, right? What is your culture like? What is your capacity to give back? How have you been a leader in that respect? And then secondly, influence to gauge influence is to look at your profit share, right? How influential have you been in attracting people to the company, right? We also know that, you know, whether you like it or not, performance is the politics of Keller Williams.
Right,
If you want more opportunity, go crush the job you've been given, right?
right.
The rookie of the year is probably going to come out of this group, right? And when that person becomes rookie of the year, they're going to say, all right, what's next? What's next? Who wants to bring me into their world? Who
Right.
wants to come and hang out with me? I'm going places.
Who wants to pay me?
Right, right. I mean, I'll give you another example. Jenny Mosier, who was working a bunch of rentals, you know, I don't know how many years
She
ago.
worked rental leads, not.
Well, we both worked a lot of rental leads.
Well, that's true, we did.
She
She was working with rental people.
Yes, and then crossed
Tenants.
paths with Andy and Leslie, then became their buyer's agent, then became their lead buyer's agent, then became their lead listing agent, then became their director of sales. And now she is the executive leadership director for the Southeast region of Keller Williams.
All in about 5 years, right?
That is a little bit more than 5 years.
Yeah,
She's
okay.
basically the team leader of the team leaders, right? So the politics of this organization is production. You want opportunity, you got to go nail the opportunity you have. Guys, there are, I mean, thousands and thousands of homes that you could sell, and you got a real estate license. So go get to work.
It's like a printing press. Just
You want to raise? Go get another client.
We'll get another client.
Right. What else? What other questions do we have? I want to be respectful of your time. We got a couple moments left. Let's do maybe one more question, then maybe Marie, you can be thinking about what you know, like they say, you wait for your 15 minutes of fame, and when you get your 15 minutes of fame, that's your platform to kind of tell all the next generation of realtors how to be great. So I'm going to put that on you at the end.
Oh God.
So
Okay.
come up with something cute. We got another question or two?
Please.
Hey, Marie, do you prefer working with buyers or sellers?
Sellers, because they sit still. Houses don't cheat on you. Buyers can run around and cheat on you. Houses don't do that.
I'm so learning that. That's so funny, but so true.
That's a good point.
That's right. Once you got the seller, the house don't move. Then
Right.
all of the buyers and their agents come when you're sipping Mai Tais, you know, showing time, approve, showing time, approve, showing time, approve.
Yep.
And they're the ones, you know, which house should I go to first, and print out the map, and where do I go after that? And oh, hey honey, I'm running a little late. They wanted to see 2 more homes. Sorry, I'm gonna miss dinner one more time.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Do the other thing. I remember my philosophy for a new agent would be I'd spend my time 2 different directions. I'd be lead generating for business, specifically listing business for say 1 hour, if you're going to do 2 hours lead gen, and then I'd spend the other hour looking for people for my downline.
Yep.
One is instant business and one is long-term financial security.
Yeah.
And how do you look for people to add to your downline? What did you do?
Ask, I mean, people that you've worked with in the past, if you've got agents that you've had closings with that you liked, that people, I don't know, you could, if you don't know anybody, you could just talk to everybody who breathes on a mirror and leaves a mark. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I usually say, like, if you get in the habit of talking to other people, right? When you talk to people, they tell you what they like, they tell you what they don't like. It's casual. when you talk to other agents, how's business? What are you doing? What are you doing really well right now? What are you struggling with? And it won't take them long to complain about something,
Right.
right? And the complaints sound, I've said this a bunch of times, the complaints generally go in one of two directions. Marie, you remember what those are? They either do not have enough
Have enough leads,
or they have too
and
many.
have too many leads, and then they don't have enough time.
Right. So if you, we got time and money, guys. So if you are short on time, you better have some cash. If you're short on money, you better be willing to put in the time, right?
Yeah. You know,
And if
the
an
real
agent's struggling with something, we simply have to invite them to learn more about how Keller Williams can solve their problems.
right. And the whole world wants to talk about real estate. I have never understood why people are so interested in real estate, but they are. Everybody wants, I mean, everybody wants to talk about real estate all the time. So have some, what is Andy calls it, some party chatter.
Yeah.
The cocktail party chatter. Have a few, half a dozen things that you can say that are clever, but also true, or mostly true. It's good enough. And then go from there.
Right.
I-
Like, how
I
many
got one
businesses
guy at
have there
Chick-fil-A.
been?
I picked up a guy at Chick-fil-A that bought a house.
Yeah.
On Christmas Eve.
People buy houses on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
All right, last parting thoughts, Marie. How can give them something to think about that can ruminate in their brain forever, that will help, that I'm putting a lot of pressure on you, that will help them in kind of the lousy times, that they can mull over and remind themselves of, so that they can take the business to where you've taken yours.
Jeez. Tell the truth so you can forget the details.
Okay. I like that.
Always tell the truth. And I guess it sounds trite, but I'd rather be, my philosophy has always been, I'd rather be closed than right. I see so many agents get up on a high horse about this or that or the other thing. And at the end of the day, I'd rather say, you know what? I'll take responsibility for this and let's get this thing closed.
Yeah.
Like you
like
and the
you wanna be-
$500, you and the $500 vanity.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh gosh. It's so funny that you remember that. Yeah, it's like, how much do I have to pay to get you to never bring this up again?
Right.
Right? If I pay this $150 electrician bill, will you promise never to talk about it again? Because I'm tired of hearing you talk about it. I'm just going to make this go away. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's what I mean. Be right. You don't have to be right. Just be closed. You know, don't sweat over $150 electric bill and go get a check for 10 grand. It's not complicated.
Right. Yeah, it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be married? Right?
Right. Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'll be wrong every once in a while. I'm cool
Yeah.
with that. Right? I want to be married.
Right. So like happy wife, happy life, happy co-op agent, happy life. Right?
There you go. This is a small community. If you screw around with it, if you're disrespectful to a bunch of other agents, it's going to be tough to get your multiple offer accepted.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? It's a
Right.
small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it.
Right. Like I can call you, Marie, and say, hey, I got a buyer for your listing. What's it going to take? And you're like, well, I want to work with Bill because Bill gets his stuff done, and Bill's not going to work with an unqualified buyer, and he's not going to work with a lousy rent, what do you call it, lender. And
Right.
so if Bill's working with them, then this deal's probably going through. So I think I'd like to work with Bill.
That happens a lot more often than you might think.
A lot more often. I'm telling you. Absolutely.
Thanks everybody for your time.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you for, as I said before, this is kind of like one of your like kind of comebacks, if you will. So you're more
Thank
than
you.
welcome in the group at any time. It's been a pleasure building our relationship over the years, and I mean, we have spent countless hours together, you know, trying to help one another build their business and learn. And I'm grateful for our relationship, and been doing a lot of thinking about you and Tim over the last couple months, and I'm just grateful that you're here, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your willingness to share some time with us. Okay.
Okay, have a good weekend.
All right. You too.